When I say trans men can be lesbians or trans masks can be lesbians or date lesbians, one of the first things people say is usually, okay, well then how do we change the definition of lesbian because it's supposed to be non-men loving non-men?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today, my resident lesbian, Vicky. Hey Vicky.
I'm back.
We got the lesbian back. I'm super excited. I love lesbians. Well, we need you. We actually need you. We need your voice. We need to start giving you more space to have these conversations. And, since I get to push back on the trans thing and I'm not a lesbian, though I was, it's important that we give you a voice.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you always joining me and having these
Well, and I
important
appreciate being here. I really enjoy talking to you, and I think these conversations are they're hard conversations, but we need to have these conversations. It's about
Thanks everybody for getting us to 100,000 subscribers. Yeah. And thanks for subscribing, liking, pushing this stuff out there because this channel wouldn't be thriving if it wasn't for all of you watching and
time.
really understanding that we're not trying to be mean and nasty like them. We're trying to sort of stop this nonsense. There's a younger generation out there who will not benefit from what these people are doing at all. Young
Right.
lesbians are not going to benefit from this. They're going to benefit
No.
from me and you speaking out against it and saying, "Wait a minute here. Just because you think you're a lesbian, you're a man. Men are not lesbians."
That was always the going joke. You go to a bar, and I still do to this day. I'll have some guy walk over to me and say, "Oh, you're a lesbian? Well, so am I," and kind of,
Oh,
in like a creepy, that's
totally.
always been a
Totally.
thing, and it's always
Yeah.
been a thing. And
Yeah.
now it's just extended into this other
Uh,
area because people that are trans that maybe really aren't trans are using the trans part to like
that's right.
invade and creep up on girls and stuff,
Ew.
and
Ew.
it's like, and people say, "Oh, I used to think that that was a conservative talking point, right?"
Sure.
I was
Yes.
of that mind frame for
Of
a long
course.
time. I thought, geez,
Yeah.
that can't be real. People aren't really doing that.
That's right.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
People are really doing that, and messing with trans stuff.
Here we are. So,
Mhm.
with that, friends, Vicky, I hate you
Listen,
for sitting.
I hate myself right now. I'm tortured. I don't know if I'm a masochist or what, because
You
this
are.
stuff that I'm like, this is torturous. I can't anymore. I
It's
don't know how much longer I
gross.
can do it.
It's not right. It's not right. So let's look at TikTok Danny.
Okay, so I always thought that me saying I was a lipstick lesbian meant what Google says. I just absolutely am into hair and makeup and all things. Traditionally, I'm air quoting feminine because there's no gender, but I'm traditionally into things like that. And so I thought that that's what it meant. If there's a different meaning, please let me know. I did not know that. But I have been with non-binary people and gender fluid people, and I would date a trans woman. I just haven't. And so this comment makes me so sad because that's not who I am. But if there's anything that I actually don't know, please let me know. I didn't know that. I've been out for like 15 years and that's just what we always said. But if it's changed, or I could use different language, please let me know.
What? That is what a lipstick, and then it says on there. Well, I'm going to put it up on the screen for us, but it
Right.
says on there. It means transphobic lesbian, a lesbian who only dates women, doesn't date trans women, non-binary. That's not what a lipstick lesbian is. It's
No,
just a
yeah.
feminine lesbian.
They, whoever this
What?
person is that is telling that young lady that, is just pissed off because they got
Yep.
rejected by a
Yep.
lipstick lesbian or whatever they were. And so now they're like, you know what? You're transphobic. That's what a lipstick lesbian is because you won't date me. It's like, dear freaking God, grow up. I mean,
Well,
seriously?
also, they're literally going to change the definition because it didn't work for them. Look, if anyone out there who doesn't know what a lipstick lesbian is, let me tell you, because I know I came from that era when it
Mhm.
actually started. I remember exactly when it started. I was a hardcore dyke butch les, and then all of a sudden this whole new era came out. I think it was like maybe early 90s, and it was the lipstick lesbians, and it was
Yeah.
it means feminine lesbian
Yeah,
because
that's all it
my
means.
era, That's all it means. In my era, it was butch and femme. That was
Yep.
really like a big
Mm-hmm.
deal. And then femmes started dating each other, and that they were called lipstick lesbians. And that's all it
Yeah.
means. It's femmes who like femmes. That's it. That's it.
Yep.
That's nothing to do with any. That's because a lesbian is a female, not a male. So that's why they're pissed, because trans women are males and they're not
Right.
lesbians. I
Right.
don't care how you identify, what you want to be. You're not a lesbian. You're a trans woman who wants to date women. You can identify as a lesbian, but you're actually not.
Right.
I'm
Like
not
you
a
can say
man.
it, you can say it all day long, but
It's so
and
frustrating.
it's not, and I can't speak for everybody, Buck, but I
Of course not.
most lesbians don't really want to date a trans woman. I mean, it could happen. I'm
They
sure there's
don't. The
situations where
majority
it
do not.
has, but I don't think
I
that
know
it's,
some who do.
yeah,
I do, but they also, the trans women don't make a big deal out of it. They know
right.
who they are. They don't run around going, "I'm a lesbian," and they don't do that. I know some who date trans women, and that's their deal. And that, who cares? They're not making
Yeah,
a big deal out of it.
and it's not a big deal if you want to, but
That's right. That's right.
I don't think that
That's right.
I don't think that lesbians started this whole debate anyways. I think they literally were
They
walking
did.
down the street, well, all the lesbians were walking down the street one day, and then they were like, "Hey, want to date me?" And we're like, "Oh, well, you're trans, so I don't really know if I want to do that." And then they flipped out.
That's right.
Like,
That's right. Oh my God, Vicky, I came from, when I transitioned, the whole lesbian community hated me,
hmm
right? And I didn't, I was like, I'm not a les anymore. It's all good. Like, no big deal. But they were so like angry at me and so and disconnected. Of course, now 30 years later, you get it. But then it hurts your
Right,
feelings and all of that. But
right.
that being said, I'm not a lesbian. By definition, I guess I'm a lesbian because I'm a woman I'm a female who's with a female. So that's the
Right.
definition of a lesbian,
But
right?
so,
I don't identify as a
socially,
woman.
and we've talked about this before, socially, you're walking down the street, people think you're a straight couple.
There's no way.
Yeah,
With my kid, me, and my wife, we look like a
yeah.
crazy straight couple with a kid. That's
You're
what we
yeah,
look like.
you look like the definition of the nuclear family that everybody hates
Totally.
these days, right? Like you're not.
And I love.
Well,
I'm
I
very
do
proud
too.
to be part of it.
I love it
I'm very
too.
family.
I'm
Yep,
very
I'm totally
much
family oriented.
in
Yep,
favor of that. And I'm very much in favor of monogamy. That's just me.
me too. I'm monogamous as well. But again,
Yep.
whatever you want to do, go with it. But
hmm
stop forcing other people to do what you makes you
Yeah.
comfortable. Figure it out on your own.
Right.
But like, stop making the whole world move around. And also, I'm not going to stand for it.
hmm
I'm not going to stand. I won't. You know that. I very much support women's rights and I support
Sure.
lesbian
Yeah.
rights. And you can't do that to gay women. It's disgusting and wrong. And any trans woman out there who tells me that I'm wrong, you know what? I lived as a lesbian. You never will be a lesbian. You can identify that way, but you are not a lesbian. Okay, so get over yourself
And it's not
and
that
deal
deep
with
of a
it.
thing. It's just
It's just
females who
not.
like females.
If you were born male but were transgender and became female, but you liked females, are you a lesbian or straight? You're a lesbian. Because trans women are real women. You would be a woman, a trans woman, but a woman, and a woman that likes other women, that's a lesbian. Nothing else.
You see how they're trying?
hmm
It's so
hmm
frustrating. They just keep saying it over again.
Yep.
You're not a lesbian. You're just not. Like, what? Why are you so adamant to do that? I don't. If you were born male but were transgender and become, then it says if you were born a male and became transgender to female, but you like females, does that make you a lesbian or straight? Really? Come on. So this person, look at this person. They're insane.
And they're in a school. Why are you having these TikTok conversations with yourself in your classroom? What are you doing? I don't get it, Bach. Like, I don't understand. Like, that looks
With
like
yourself.
an elementary school classroom.
It does. Actually, I
It's,
think this one is a teacher, to be honest with you. I think I've seen them before.
and that's what
This
you're
is
on the internet doing between classes or whatever. Like, this is
well,
our
the fact
education
that
system.
this is a teacher is fucking creepy.
It
I would keep
is.
my kid out of class. They just seem creepy and they have an agenda. Teachers
hmm
aren't supposed to have an agenda. They're
Nope.
supposed to come to school and teach my kid math and science and all the other shit,
Yep.
not their pronouns and not who they date and not that they're a
And
lesbian.
what
Like, who
lesbian
cares? And
means and what it doesn't mean. And that is this is why the LGBT community is in a dip right now as far as acceptance. because
That's right.
they
You got it.
pushed this envelope so far that it's like, and I'm not on board with that. It's weird. And then talking
No,
about it
you
in
can't be.
this light about, oh well, if you were born a guy but you transition to a woman, are you a lesbian or aren't you a lesbian? And it's like, stop it, just stop it with this stuff.
It's I think it's called circular reasoning. So they
Yeah,
just keep going
yeah.
around in a
Hmm.
circle, and they base nothing on facts. Nothing on facts at all, because that's not facts.
No.
A lesbian is a woman who loves a woman, and a trans woman is not a. See how she had he fuck him, a real woman. Well, what's a real woman? Like the fact that you even have to say real woman. Women never go around saying I'm a real woman. They just don't,
Well,
unless they're being
we have to now.
well, unless you're being pushed, but you don't walk down the street, I'm a real woman, right? So
Right.
that's how you got them. That's how you got them because
Yeah.
they're always saying, I'm a real woman.
Well,
But
it's this push for like the postmodernism thing that nothing,
yeah,
everything's
yeah,
relative,
yeah,
nothing is
that's right.
real, nothing is
Solid.
absolute,
Yeah,
nothing's solid.
that's
You
right.
know,
That's
definitely,
right.
they don't understand. Well, some people I think do understand how dangerous it is, and that's why they're doing it. But then I think there's also a group
That's
of
right.
followers that just think, oh wow, that's so cool, you know, and it's
Oh,
like,
totally.
yeah.
Totally.
When I say trans men can be lesbians or trans masks can be lesbians or date lesbians, one of the first things people say is usually, okay, well then how do we change the definition of lesbian because it's supposed to be non-men loving non-men? And I would encourage you to think about defining sexuality in the same way that we define gender. 50 years ago, we defined woman as someone with a vagina. Now we realize that that language isn't inclusive, so we say anyone who identifies as a woman is a woman, not someone who identifies as a woman and wears dresses to prove it, or someone who identifies as a woman and goes through hormone replacement therapy to prove it. We just assume that if someone uses a label in good faith, that they're probably a woman. The non-men loving non-men label was taken from Tumblr in 2014 as a way to revise the lesbian label to be more inclusive. And the other critique is, well then cis het men can call themselves lesbians. Okay, there are cis men right now calling themselves trans women, and they don't do that in good faith. They do it to get a rise out of us. And it ultimately has no effect on queer people, other than getting conservatives to rally against us. But like, just because a cis man wants to say that he's a trans woman is a gotcha moment, doesn't make trans women identities less real. Just because a cis het man wants to make a joke about him being a lesbian, doesn't mean that trans men and masks are inherently predators and shouldn't be allowed in the lesbian community. And the third critique I get is, well, I'm a trans man or a trans mask and I don't want to be a lesbian or date a lesbian. Great. You don't have to. No one has to date anyone they don't want to date. Lesbians don't have to date non-binary people. Trans people don't have to date cis people. How someone else chooses to identify does not affect you at all.
She's the one who would always be like, you have to. Oh, now she's backing up. She used to always say it's transphobic if you don't date someone. Now she's like, you don't have to date anyone. Oh, I see how that works. And trans mask lesbians makes zero sense.
No.
Zero.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why are you transitioning then? Why are you transitioning and still calling yourself a lesbian?
I,
Why are you doing that?
yeah. What I find interesting
What?
about what she said, and she said it, I think, pretty early on in the clip, was she kind of admits that there's been a discussion about changing the
Yeah,
definition of the word lesbian.
that's
So
right.
next time
That's
somebody
right.
says we're not
That's right.
doing that, we are,
That's great
and you're
point.
openly talking
Great
about
point.
it, fragrantly talking
Great
about
point.
changing definitions. That is literally what you're
Great
doing,
point.
and you're talking about it and
Yep.
admitting to it. So
Wow. Great point, Vicky. You know, I don't understand. Create your own space,
yeah, call
right?
yourself
Create your
whatever you
own
want,
space. Like,
but don't take other definitions of terms and make them something else to fit your
it's so
desire or
shocking.
need for that particular moment.
And then turn on the
Yeah.
lesbians. That's the thing. I mean, it's like we're lesbians and you're not, even though you're actually a lesbian, and go F yourself, and we're taking it all away from you. That's literally what they do with trans, what they've done with gay people, what they've done with lesbians. They're literally redefining our space,
Yeah.
right? Why don't you create? Just don't understand why they don't just be a trans lesbian. How about that? Call yourself a transbian or a trans lesbian or not a lesbian. You're not a
Right.
lesbian. Okay, you can. I mean, I understand sometimes. Okay, those two words together make sense to be trans lesbian.
Transbian,
You're
yeah.
still claiming to be trans. You're not a woman. You're a trans lesbian.
Yeah.
So now I can define. Now I can say whether or not I really am wanting to date you, because even though you might look like a woman,
Yeah.
right? So let me give you this scenario, Vicky. What if there was this hot chick that you were, or whatever? I don't know if you're into butches or femmes or whatever. Okay, let's just say
chick.
hot chick. Okay, and hot chick, and she's super hot, and you're just like, oh yeah, she's awesome. And you go up to the bar and you're buying a drink, and she's coming off as a woman to you, but then you find out that she's a trans woman. Now you decide you don't want to date
Right.
her. Let's say you decide you don't want to date her because she is, but would that be the scenario? Would you be not interested, even though you saw her as hot, but she still has a penis? She
Yeah.
still
You
is
see,
male.
it would
See?
be difficult for me, I think, to follow
That's
through with that.
right.
And I would also not
That's
want
right.
to make them uncomfortable because I might feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
right.
because I actually am a caring
Of course.
person. So it's like,
Of course.
I mean, I think about with like my wife. She's very, very feminine. And I'm like, what if when I first met her, if she was actually a dude? Like, and I'm so madly in
Yeah,
love with her
totally.
now, obviously. But
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
she had said that, something in my brain probably would have been like, oh, and I would have
That's
seen
right.
it differently then. I just would have. That's just human
That's right.
nature. Then you start
It
seeing things
is.
like, oh, that they have this guyish part of them or something, and now I see it,
That's
or
right. That's right.
I don't know. I don't have experiences with dating trans people, so I can't really speak to it too much. But I also think I don't have those experiences because I didn't want to have those experiences because I think I would have.
And trans women are not real women. So get over yourselves, people. Just own who
Yeah,
you are, move forward in the world, and watch how better your life will be when you live honestly within
right.
your space. And stop messing with the lesbians.
Yeah,
Leave them
God.
alone. Like, create your own space. God, it's so stupid. Anyway, Vicky, thanks for picking those out. I totally
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
you a
you.
lot. Thanks for joining me on the channel again. And you guys like, subscribe, leave Vicky some beautiful comments. We're trying to like wake people up out there.
It's
It's just
happening. It's
gotten out of
happening.
control. So it is. I see it. It is. So I'll see you guys on the next one. I'll see you Wednesday on the live. And thanks for joining us. And